More breaking news as President Trump says the U.S. is taking control of Venezuela after the U.S. carried out overnight strikes, capturing President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia. Those two are expected to arrive in New York this afternoon, where they will face federal criminal charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy. And joining me now is Venezuelan journalist and author and our friend, Mariana Atencio. Mariana, welcome. So after years of economic collapse, of repression, of mass migration, many Venezuelans wanted Maduro gone, but not necessarily this way. Does his removal risk legitimizing or delegitimizing a future democratic transition by tying it so closely to U.S. military forces and oil interests?
Alex, thank you so much for having me on. To be quite honest with you, we wanted Maduro out whatever way, and we tried to get him out with democratic means. As you know, he lost last year's election by a landslide and essentially dismissed the results and the proof from Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader, and her running mate. This has been a regime ever since Chavez took over, Alex, that has for 25 years pretty much run our country into the ground, leading to one of the worst humanitarian crises and refugee crises in the world and certainly in the hemisphere, leading to 8 million people, including me and some of my family members, having to leave our homeland. So we were desperate to get him out. And this, if this was the way that it needed to happen, then so be it. What is concerning to me, obviously, is after that Trump presser, is this idea of the U.S. running the country. What is the timeline for that to happen? And not only Maduro being removed, but Maduro is truly just the face of a whole regime that needs to be dismantled. And essentially, Alex, four power players that are really the folks pulling the strings here. You have Padrino Lopez, who is the head of the military. He's been out and about on national television all day today down there. Diosdado Cabello, who was Chavez's natural successor and is the enforcer, also out and about rallying troops. And then you have, of course, the VP, Delcy Rodriguez, who just went on national television and didn't even acknowledge any of these conditions or playing ball with Rubio and Trump, contrary to what the president said. So if this is only a reshuffling, I think some of the worst and truly cruelest people who have repressed folks down there are now being left in power. So this reshuffling will only be for the worst if indeed Delcy Rodriguez remains in power, which is what Trump and Rubio alluded to.
So, Mariana, you are articulating the concerns of many that this is just removing somebody at the top and allowing others underneath in the food chain, if you will, to step up into power, which then does this mandate that the U.S. hold some sort of control running the country for a while to afford true regime change? And will that be supported by Venezuelans?
100%, Alex, that would be supported by Venezuelans. If indeed Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo González Urrutia, who were the leaders that we legitimately voted for, are placed back in Venezuela and can lead the transition. We already chose people to lead us in this time. And again, we were very concerned, even though we're happy with Maduro being removed, we're very concerned also with the fact that Trump pretty much dismissed Machado's leadership and her recognition in the country. He said she has no respect down there, when in fact it's the opposite. She really gave hope back to a country that had lost any hope of this regime ever leaving last year. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. She was able to defy the regime and leave for Oslo to rally international support. So I believe that she is truly our best hope of restoring Venezuela back to Western values and back to democracy.
And when it comes to what Donald Trump intimated, that the U.S. would take control of the oil reserves, what does that leave in terms of Venezuela's economy, which, to your point earlier, has been really run into the ground by Maduro?
To be quite honest with you, as a Venezuelan, obviously, I don't love the idea of the U.S. claiming our oil, but on the other hand, if American companies are going to come into the country and help rebuild an industry that has crumbled entirely, then we would welcome that. To be quite honest with you, Alex, we don't produce nearly as much oil as we should, and then the little oil that we produce is frankly sold to Russia, China, and Cuba as bargaining chips to keep their support also ideologically maintaining this regime where it is. And everyday Venezuelans don't have adequate health care, food, any sort of services. So we're really not seeing that money anyway as it is. So if American companies are really going to revive the oil industry in Venezuela and bring forth prosperity to all Venezuelans, we would certainly welcome that. And that is what President Trump alluded to.
Okay. Mariana Atencio, thank you so much, my friend. I'm sure we'll speak again.